Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayo Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jayo Vrindavan Dham. Jayo Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Lalita Vishaka Jayo Radhe Shyam. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सत श्री श्रीमद AC भक्तिवेदांता स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ISKCON BBT फाउंडर आचार्य श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सत श्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय विष्णुपाद श्रील गौर किशोर दास बाबाजी महाराज की जय। जय विष्णुपाद श्रील सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। जय विष्णुपाद वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्रील जगन्नाथ दास बाबाजी महाराज की जय। जय श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्ट दास रघुनाथ सद्गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपिका श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री वृंदावन मायपुर धाम की जय। गंगामयी यमुनामयी की जय। भक्ति देवी तुलसी देवी की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। अंतराज श्रीमद्-भागवतम की जय। ISKCON वर्तमान गुरु वृंद की जय। सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome everyone. Today we are reading 5th chapter of the Bhagavad-Gita as it is, entitled Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. Verse number 6. Sannyasastu mahā-bāho, duḥkham āptum ayogataḥ, yoga-yukto munir brahma, na cireṇādhigacchati. Sannyāsastu mahā-bāho, duḥkham āptum ayogataḥ, yoga-yukto munir brahma, na cireṇādhigacchati. Sannyāsastu mahā-bāho, duḥkham āptum ayogataḥ, yoga-yukto munir brahma, na cireṇādhigacchati.
Sannyāsastu mahā-bāho, duḥkham āptum ayogataḥ, yoga-yukto munir brahma, na cireṇādhigacchati. Sannyāsastu mahā-bāho, duḥkham āptum ayogataḥ, yoga-yukto munir brahma, na cireṇādhigacchati.
Sannyāsastu mahā-bāho, duḥkham āptum ayogataḥ, yoga-yukto
brahma cireṇādhigacchati sannyāsastu mahā-bāho duḥkham āptum ayogataḥ yoga-yukto munir brahma cireṇādhigacchati.
Word to word meaning. Sannyāsaḥ, the renounced order of life. 2. But mahā-bāho, O mighty armed one. Duḥkham, distress. Āptum, afflicts one with. Ayogataḥ, without devotional service. Yoga-yuktaḥ, one engaged in devotional service. Muniḥ, a thinker. Brahma, the supreme. Na cireṇa, without delay. Adhigacchati, attains. Translation, purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Merely renouncing all activities, yet not engaging in devotional service of the Lord, cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay. Purport. There are two classes of sannyāsīs, or the persons in renounced order of life. The Māyāvādī sannyāsīs are engaged in the study of Sāṅkhya philosophy, whereas the Vaishnava sannyāsīs are engaged in the study of Bhagavad philosophy, which affords the proper commentary on the Vedānta-sūtras. The Māyāvādī sannyāsīs also study the Vedānta-sūtras, but use their own commentary called Śārīraka-bhāṣya, written by the Śankaracharya. The students of the Bhagavata school are engaged in devotional service of the Lord according to Pancharatrika regulations, and therefore the Vaishnava sannyāsīs have multiple engagements in the transcendental service of the Lord. The Vaishnava sannyāsīs, having nothing to do with the material activities, yet they perform various activities in their devotional service to the Lord. But the Māyāvādī sannyāsīs, engaged in the studies of Sāṅkhya and Vedānta and speculation, cannot relish the transcendental service of the Lord. Because their studies become very tedious and they sometimes become tired of Brahman speculation, and thus they take shelter of the Bhagavatam without proper understanding. Consequently, their study of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam becomes troublesome. Dry speculation and impersonal interpretations by artificial means are all useless for the Māyāvādī sannyāsīs. The Vaishnava sannyāsīs, who are engaged in devotional service, are happy in discharge of their transcendental duties, and they have guaranteed of ultimate entrance into the kingdom of God. The Māyāvādī sannyāsīs sometimes fall down from the path of self-realization and again enter into the material activities of philanthropic and altruistic nature, which are nothing but material engagements. Therefore, the conclusion is that those who are engaged in Krishna-conscious activities are better situated than the sannyāsīs engaged in simple speculation about what is Brahman and what is not Brahman, although they do come to Krishna consciousness after many births. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam. Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Welcome everyone, and before we begin into the discussion, I seek for everyone's blessings so that I can share my understanding and also we can learn from Srila Prabhupada's words. So this section, this particular chapter is named as Karma Yoga. This is action in Krishna consciousness. So here renunciation, like the first question that started in the beginning of the chapter, Arjuna is asking this question. If you're telling that knowledge is better, then why you still want me to engage in the warfare? Like this is where the fourth chapter finishes, right? The transcendental knowledge. So Krishna already gave the transcendental knowledge, and now Arjuna is asking if knowledge is better, if we are aware what to do and what not to do. So why even engage in this ghastly warfare? I'm still very confused. And we see how in the 2nd to the 6th, which is in the current section, Krishna explains that karma yoga is easier. Like anyone to perform karma yoga, it's easier, and it has equal status with renunciation. What does it mean? That you perform activities in service to the Lord, and that is equivalent to the renunciation, because there is no material activity involved, right? When we are performing devotional service, although it seems to look like it's material, but those are not material activities. That means that you're automatically on the platform of the renunciation. So, karma yoga, if you're performing, keeping Krishna in the center, it is sharing equal status with renunciation. So, but only renunciation, merry renunciation, is very difficult, and we will see why it is difficult and troublesome. Now, verses 7 to 16 Krishna will be focusing on how one can be engaged in nishkama karma yoga. That means that you don't even have any expectations of the fruits, but you're very duty bounded. Now 17 to the 29, the last verses concluding the chapter, leads up to focus is on how to attain Krishna, and attaining Krishna will lead someone to liberation, moksha. Now this particular verse, if you see the word used, mahā-bāho, Krishna is addressing Arjuna as mahā-bāho. What does mahā-bāho means? O mighty armed one. So indirectly Krishna is telling Arjuna that although you're very powerful, no one can actually subdue you. But if you just give up your own activity that's born of your second nature, and if you enter into renunciation, that will be very difficult. Right? So, and this kind of choice should not be made one who is munir. Munir means one who is intelligent, who is thoughtful. Muni actually means one who is thoughtful. So, become thoughtful and do not indulge in the activities that will become very troublesome. And then, why is it this renunciation, merry renunciation is difficult? Because there is no activity of the senses, right? And you want to remain inactive. But let us see the people around us, in the world that we function. How many people actually take up to renunciation? And how many people are actually engaged in work? Because to engage in any kind of activity is easier, right? But to stop everything and to remain active, it's not everyone's piece of cake, right? It's very difficult. And there is a lot of mind control and sense control that is needed to be done. So, and that kind of renunciation is usually not recommended. And also inactivity is not an intrinsic nature of the soul. The soul always wants to be active. Prabhupada explains in the introduction to Bhagavad-Gita, when he's explaining the word dharma, he gives different examples. The dharma of the water is to be liquid. The dharma of the sugar is to be sweet. And what is the dharma of the living entity? To engage in service. Either you engage in service to Krishna, or you engage in service to others. Now, generally, because we have forgotten Krishna and we have forgotten the path of bhakti, what are we doing? Prabhupada gives the same example again in the introduction, saying that person A is serving person B and person B is serving person C. A father is serving a son, and the son is serving, again the father. A husband is serving the wife and wife is serving the husband. A boss is serving the employee and employee is serving the boss. And so there are varieties of services, exchange of services that we see in the society. But service itself is not denied and stopped, because this is the intrinsic nature. But now what happens in Krishna consciousness? We are putting Krishna in the center and we are engaging our services for Krishna's pleasure. We are removing me from the center and we are putting Krishna and we are trying to do all the activities for his pleasure. Still activity is there. Now here another word is ayogataḥ. When does one become ayogataḥ? Ayogataḥ means the one who is not engaged in devotional service. When someone is not engaged in devotional service and they are embarking on the path of renunciation, it becomes very unsustainable, very enduring. They endure a lot of pain, and also it is very unnatural. That's why they cannot stand for a long time. You see, Brahmadev is also explaining in the prayers to Krishna after stealing of the calves and the cowherd boys in the chapter 14. He's saying that, even someone may go up to the Supreme Brahman, but because they are inactive, they fall down, right? Because they cannot stand there for a long time. They have to come back and engage. And then here the same thing Prabhupada is saying. And when they fall back, what do? Because they have some pious credits, but it's not bhakti sukruti, but it's just sukruti. So they get engaged into some philanthropic or altruistic work in the world. And they become very popularized. So Jnana Marg is very, very difficult because it's all about dry speculation about Brahman. Now, they study the Sāṅkhya philosophy. And what happens in the Sāṅkhya philosophy, you're studying the elements and going with the principle of neti. Say, for example, we all know this is karta. But I wouldn't come to the conclusion that this is karta. But I will say, this is not harmonium, this is not mridanga. This is not piano, this is not guitar. This is not mic, this is not this. So finally you segregate, and then finally you come to a conclusion that, oh, this is karta. Right? So in the neti principle, they understand that, okay, we are not this material body, we are not the mind, we are not the intelligence, we are not the false ego, we are the spirit soul. They can come to only that point, but they don't understand that there is existence of the Supreme Brahman, which is Krishna himself, the Parabrahman. And then how important is for us to link with Krishna. Now, the Sāṅkhya philosophy that is given by Kapila Dev in the third canto, what he explains to Devahuti, it doesn't stop just at counting these 25 elements of the nature, just arriving to the soul, the constitutional position of the soul. But it actually goes further, and Kapila Dev explains that we should be engaged in devotional service, right? And then he glorifies Satam Prasangam Mama Virya Samvito. In the association of devotees, when the discussions and the activities, the glories and activities of the Lord are spoken, it actually purifies our hearts, whatever is discussed. So this is the aim of the Sāṅkhya philosophy. That's why Krishna, in the earlier verses, he was telling, if someone is thinking Sāṅkhya philosophy and the Karma Yoga are two different, they are not in full knowledge, but actually in ignorance itself. But actually the aim of both is Vedascha Sarvam Ahame Vedyo, is to reach out to Krishna. Either you choose the path of the Sāṅkhya or either you choose the path of the Karma. The aim is to reach Krishna itself. But because people don't go beyond that Aham Brahmasmi, they cannot appreciate, okay, I am Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi, I am spirit soul, then what? Right? So there is a pause. Like, for example, you're on the flight and you're traveling and you're at the feet of 32,000 feet high in the sky. And you're there for 10 hours, 12 hours, 16 hours, 20 hours. But then, will you be happy there forever? Eternally, if someone tells you that you will be on the 32,000 feet and you will be in the airplane, will you be happy? No. We board the plane so that we would reach a destination, isn't it? So this is the same example. Also Prabhupada says that, if people say that all paths lead to the same destination, it's wrong. If you buy a ticket to Kolkata, you cannot travel to Mumbai, right? So every path is leading us to a particular destination. But it is also important to understand what is the aim of the Vedic philosophy. Why is there so many subdivisions? Like, why is the marg of karma is prescribed? Why is the path of jnana is prescribed? Why is the path of Ashtanga yoga is prescribed? And why is the path of bhakti is prescribed? Because we are oriented in a certain way, right? Some people are naturally very renounced from the material activities. Then Krishna says, okay, you take up Gyan marg, but keep in mind that the aim is to reach me. Don't get drifted away. Some people want to experience the Paramatma realization, they want to experience this yogic process. So Ashtanga process is described. But if you see, after the reciting the 6th chapter, Krishna concludes, 647, that the best of the yogis is who is fixed in me, is not the one who has attained the self-realization by the yogic process, but the one who is actually fixed in me. This is actually the success of that yogi. So any given path is to help us to reach to Krishna. Now here Prabhupada is very heavy on the Māyāvādī sannyāsīs. Now what are the Māyāvādī sannyāsīs are doing? They study the Vedānta-sūtras and they study the Sāṅkhya and they keep on speculating. And they keep telling that aham brahmasmi, and then finally, after this, leaving this material body, I will merge. Now we see there are so many examples from Chaitanya Charitamrita as well. Prakashananda Saraswati. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to see Prakashananda Saraswati, each of the Prakashananda Saraswati and the other Māyāvādī sannyāsīs, they used to call each other as I am also Narayan and you are also Narayan. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never accepted that, but he said that I am the devotee. Gopi Payata Kamalayo Dasa Dasa Anudas. I'm just the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. Right? So, but, and also the similar encounter with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. When Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was explaining the Vedanta philosophy to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he thought that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very young and he took sannyas at a very young age. So he needed knowledge so that he can continue his sannyas. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard everything that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya told for 7 days continuously. And he didn't even stop Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya asking for a doubt or a question. Then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya asked him, do you really understand what I'm saying? You didn't even ask a question or you didn't have any doubts. He said that, I understand what Vedānta-sūtras is, but I don't understand the explanation that you are giving. And that is where the famous description of the Atma-Ram shloka, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives 64 different explanations of each and every verse of the Atma-Ramas. And what is that beauty of that shloka? Atma-ramasya munaya nirgante api urukrama. Even the people who are very self-realized, who are very satisfied within themselves, but they are also attracted to the devotional service of Krishna. Can we think of some examples from the Bhagavatam? Anyone? Do you know any examples of the Atma-ramas who were attracted to Krishna later on? The 4 Kumaras. Yes. Sukadeva Goswami. So they are also attracted to the Brahman realization. But they were never defying the Supreme Lord. Right? They are appreciating one aspect of the absolute truth, that is the Brahman realization. But they're not interested in Paramatma realization or Bhagavan realization. So they were not committing any offenses. So when 4 Kumaras came to the entrance of the Vaikuntha planets, what happened? As soon as they smelled the aroma of the tulsi leaves, that aroma itself has changed their understanding and they became devotees of the Lord. And similarly, the Sukadeva Goswami, he was in 16 years in the womb of his mother. And he was very much afraid of the Maya outside that's existing in the material world, and he didn't want it to come out of the womb. Then Krishna told him, when you come out, you won't be getting any affected. Then as the Sukadeva Goswami comes out of the womb, he runs away quickly from the home so that he is not bounded in any kind of attachments. Then Vyasadeva runs behind him, and after some time Vyasadeva is not able to catch him, so he sends his disciples. But then he tells the disciples, you recite this verse, Aho Bakiyam Sthanakalo Kutam. As they recited this verse, Sukadeva Goswami thought, oh, I want to meet this person who is so merciful even to the she-demon who pretended to be a mother but actually came to kill Krishna. I want to know about him. I want to know his personality. What is he all about? Then he returns back and he hears the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and then he became the great devotee of the Lord. So there are sannyāsīs who are attached to this Brahman realization. But Māyāvādī sannyāsīs, the problem with them is they, first of all, they defy the Lord. They don't accept the existence of the personal form of the Lord. And they think that when the Lord descends to the world, it is just they come in the human form and he is just nirakar and nirgun. Of course, the Lord is nirakar and nirgun. How is he nirgun? Because he doesn't carry any material qualities. He carries only transcendental qualities. And how is he nirakar? He doesn't have the body which is made up of blood and stool and flesh. But his body is transcendental. Now that is what we learn in Ishopanishad, that the Lord is without veins. And the Lord is omnipotent, omniscient. And at the same time, he has a personal form. Right? So the Māyāvādīs, they put their speculation on the Lord. Now here Prabhupada says that because they are so tired about speculating about Brahman, now what happens? They do also take shelter of bhakti, not for the purpose of coming to the shelter of Krishna, but they take shelter so that they get some juice out of it, Now, some of the Māyāvādī sannyāsīs, they speak a lot about, they study the entire Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, they do saptah, right? Bhagavad saptahs. And they explain all the leelas. And then finally, they come to the conclusion that how the soul actually merges into the Lord's. Like how do they explain? Say, for example, they're explaining the Rasa Leela. So they say that it means that the soul is merging into the absolute truth, into the Brahman. So this is what the Rasa Leela means. It is not the actual ultimate loving exchanges between the Lord and his devotees. And now the problem with these kind of Bhagavad saptas, many innocent people are misled, right? They get to hear all these fascinating, they're very good reciters of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. They tell leelas in such a way, it is very enchanting, very captivating, but they don't actually lead us to the path of bhakti. So it is very, very dangerous. That's why Prabhupada always warned us not to go anything outside ISKCON to listen. Even it is better to listen from a neophyte devotee in ISKCON rather than to go outside and listen from a big acharya, so-called acharya, because they can put all this poison into our head. I can give an example. In one of my previous accommodations, one of my neighbor friend, she was first initiated, then she took Brahman initiation from ISKCON. And she's a very nice follower, like every day she used to go for Mangalarti, she chants more than 16 rounds, actually more than, I think, 64 rounds every day. But slowly what happened is that she started going to explore other groups, right? And initially it was every few months, then it became every month, then it became every week. Then she started to go every day. Now, it came to a point that she left ISKCON. And it's very sad. And because we are neighbors, we were just talking and I was having this conversation. I really wanted to see what made her to go, but I didn't want to, impose anything. But I just wanted to know what made her to go. And is she really satisfied? She was concluding that, how she was in the impression that ISKCON is only talking about only the beginner things. It's not talking about anything intimate or ultimate rasas or, the discussions about Krishna and Radharani. And it is so sad to see. But if you really analyze, Srila Prabhupada gave us everything, isn't it? From morning Mangalarti to the night Gaura Arati. Every single prayer that we are praying, every single Arati that we are attending, you see, in the Guru Ashtakam, Nikunja Yono Ratikele Siddhai. What are we discussing there? The spiritual master, if you are advanced, he will take you into the most intimate pastimes of the Lord. He will give you that entrance. That entrance pass will be bestowed by the Krishna and Guru. Then when we are doing Tulsi Arati, we are praying to Tulsi Maharani. What are we asking for? To allow us to enter into the pastimes of Raja, isn't it? So in each and every prayer that we see, actually everything is here. But because we are so neophytes, we don't appreciate what Prabhupada has given to us. Are we first there to even appreciate the foundation that is given to us? Are we attentive even to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra? Right? Prabhupada says, if you chant your, I'm also a struggling chanter, so I'm not talking out of my realization, forgive me. It's just a point for me to be alert as well. Am I chanting attentively enough that, that Radha and Krishna pastimes are automatically given? It is already playing in my mind. No, I don't chant that kind of rounds. I chant because I have taken a vow before my spiritual master. I chant because I have to finish my quota. Honestly speaking, I'm still at this beginner struggling stage. Then why are we even questioning that Prabhupada hasn't given us everything? And Prabhupada is so merciful. Even in 1972, if I'm right, Krishna book has been released. And devotees were distributing this book on the streets. Now, on the streets means what? Every new person is getting a chance to read Krishna book. Now, Krishna book has Brahma Gita, Venu Gita, right? It is talking about Rasa Leela, the Rasa Panchadhyay, right? All these pastimes are there. It's just before us. But it's not revealed to us because we are not ready for it. And the same thing with Nectar of Devotion. In the Bhakti Shastri study, we study only the first 19 chapters, which is the foundation of the devotional service. But chapter 20 onwards, Prabhupada is talking about, he's explaining Krishna's qualities, Krishna's personality, and he's talking about sthai bhav, he's talking about anubhav, vibhav, all these esoteric topics. So I was really surprised, but of course, I still maintain a good relationship because, if someone wants to come back, they should have friends there. But I don't take her advice or guidance, for sure. But it is very important that, to whom are we listening to? Because even someone is reciting Bhagavatam very like a parrot. A parrot speaks very nicely and we are attracted by it. Even someone speaks like a parrot, we should not be attracted. We have to see where are they coming from, which line they belong to, what is their Siddhanta before speaking. And Prabhupada also never encouraged that we just do Bhagavat Saptah. For us, Bhagavatam, listening to Bhagavatam means Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. We should be listening to Bhagavatam every day. And this is from the first canto, second chapter. In the discussion, Sukadeva Goswami is telling that Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. We should be doing service every day, not 1 day or 2 days. Now, someone may argue that, Parikshit Maharaj heard only 7 days, but he went back home, back to Godhead. Yes, but those 7 days were the last 7 days. So what he was doing practically, it is not the 7 period that we should do, but he is doing Nityam Bhagavata Seva, isn't it? Every day he was doing Bhagavatam Seva. And how was his Bhagavatam hearing? It was very, very attentive. He was absorbed. And not only that, he was asking questions. Right? He was super attentive. But do we hear Bhagavatam that way? Do I hear Bhagavatam that way? No. My hearing goes all around. So why should I complain that, how can I compare? It is very nice that if you can study Bhagavatam day and night like Parikshit, that's very nice. But Prabhupada instituted that going to Bhagavatam classes, going to Bhagavad-Gita classes every day, so that we gradually, happily move on in the devotional service. And it comes naturally. The renunciation will come to us very naturally. We don't need to work for the renunciation. It is like from the 11th canto, an example, an analogy was given to Uddhava by Krishna. That if someone is hungry, if you give him a plate of prasad, what happens? He eats, right? What happens after eating? Your hunger is subdued, you feel very satisfied, and you are also very blissful. So when someone is performing devotional service, first of all, you become very satisfied, and second, you automatically renounce because you have a taste for higher things. You don't go for the lower things. So that renunciation, that is something that we don't need to work for. Of course, we have to follow the 4 regulative principles because it guards us, right? 4 regulative principles guards us. But after a certain time, it becomes natural, right? In the beginning, we need to have restrictions. But now when people offer us with food with onion garlic or unoffered, do we accept it? No, we clearly said, no, we don't want to eat it. Because we are already fixed onto it, right? So this devotional service also, now we are in the sadhana stage. There will be a stage where it will become automatic, raganuga. Then we follow all the rules and regulations, but that is not the ruling force for us to perform bhakti. But it's the natural awakening of the love for Krishna that will help us to move. So again, Brahmadev's one of the prayer in 14th chapter from the 10th canto. Shreya Shritam Bhakti Udasyate Vipo Klishyanti E Kevala Bodha Labdhaye Tesham Aso Klesha Eva Issisyate Nanyad Yathastula Tusavagahitam. So he's saying, my Lord, devotional service unto you is the best path of self-realization. And if someone gives up this devotional service, path of devotional service, and tries to go to cultivate speculative knowledge. Now his process will become so troublesome. And he gives an example like someone beating the empty husk and expecting there will be grain. You know, when there is a harvest, right, if you have seen the wheat, you know, they beat the wheat crop so that the grains fall. Now, when the grains are already fallen, when you keep beating on the empty husk, what do you get? You get nothing. So if you think anything is better outside the devotional circle, is actually beating the empty husk. This is first. Now for devotees, what should we learn? What is the empty husk? Right? If we are leaving ISKCON and our bona fide spiritual master, our Srila Prabhupada, and going and trying to hear from other people, this is beating empty husk. Right? Even after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left, there were 13 apasampradayas that's been established. Now all these 13 apasampradayas, they talk about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Right? Like Sahajas, Sakibeki, Aula, Baula, there are many more. Sorry, I don't remember everything. So they all like Jati Gosais. All these 13 apasampradayas, they also speak about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They might also chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. But their mood is not the same. Like we take an example of Sahajas. Like, what do Sahajas do? They think that they start, they entered into Radha Krishna Leela, they start performing, I became the gopi, and I can enact any kind of pastimes. But is that the mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? No. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu declares himself, I am not a brahmana, I am not a kshatriya, I am not a vaishya, I am not a sudra. I am not a sannyasi, I am not a grihastha, I am not a brahmachari or vanaprastha. What is my what is my only position? I am Gopi Parita Kamalayo, Dasa Dasa Anudas. I am just the servant of the servant of the servant of those gopis who are serving the Supreme Lord, right? So we are also in the same mood. This is the mood of our sampradaya, that where we are learning how to be the servant of the servant of the servant, right? And also to push this Sankirtan Yajna. What is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction? Yara deko tare kaho, Krishna Upadesh. Whomever you see, you preach Krishna consciousness, right? So for us, beating the empty husk means, or deviation means going out of ISKCON and listening to any other philosophies. They may speak very nicely, they may have very philosophical points, but we should not be so much inclined or interested. We should follow Srila Prabhupada's instruction. We should learn to, adopt what Prabhupada said in our own lives. And then so that we will be protected from these Māyāvādī sannyāsīs, because they are even in the grab of the bhakti. So it is a big alert for us that we should be. Because in Vrindavan, we can be easily swayed away, right? We can be easily carried away. How? Because we go to different places, to Leela Sthalis, we go take darshan. Okay, we go there and take darshan, but we should not be listening to what all they say. So it's always good to go with the bona fide devotees who can explain from the proper shastra and also bring us to the point which is aligning to the mood of Srila Prabhupada and our Guru Parampara. Right? And here Prabhupada says that Vaishnava sannyāsīs are very, they're engaged in different kind of activities. So they are yoga-yukta. Yoga-yukta means they're engaged in activities. Now Prabhupada is saying that they follow the Pancharatrika Vidhi. So we see in our temple itself. Now the brahmacharis and sannyāsīs and grihasthas and vanaprasthas, different categories of people, they're engaged in services. But the sannyāsīs, they're always guiding us. They're teaching us the Shastra. They're guiding us. They're teaching us how to do the deity worship, how to, in different departments, they're taking care of us, right? They're the leaders. And as a leader, they have to put their foot into many, many departments, and they have to take on to different headaches. But they're doing this for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. It's not that they're interested, to take that headache. If they wish to, because sannyas means actually they have given up everything. Materially they are zero, right? Materially they are called dead. But they're spiritually very active. And they still engage in material activities so that they will lead us on the path of bhakti. So this kind of people are thoughtful people. So what Krishna is urging Arjuna is, you don't become dull-headed. Don't go for merry renunciation. But work in such a way that you're not affected by your work, the fruits of the work. If you want to give up the attachment to the fruits of the work, not the work itself, which will be the discussion of next few verses. Now what happens when some of these Māyāvādī sannyāsīs, sorry, I'm going back and forth again here and there, but just to see the comparison. Now what happens if these Māyāvādī sannyāsīs, they fall down, right? They engage in philanthropic activities. And before even they fall down or before they go wherever they are supposed to go, they are attracted by so-called power, prestige, wealth, right? And because they are so attached to all these material designations and activities, they defy the Lord. Now someone is becoming famous, like there are so many people, even in Vrindavan, who talk about Radha Krishna, but ultimately they talk that we have to merge in Śrīmati Radharani, we have to merge in Radha and Krishna, something like that. But why they don't give up? Because they're so attached to that fame, they're so attached to that power of controlling people, right? So we have to see, we should not forget to see that, what is that making them to stay on that way. And they sometimes in face and sometimes in the back, they deny the existence of the personal form of the Lord, right? Now, but one should never think that, they're going to be let go. Krishna has created some laws of this universe, and they will be pushed and punished by those laws. Whereas the devotional service, it's so easy to perform. Patram pushpam phalam toyam. You give a leaf, water, fruit, or a fruit, leaf, water, and flower, right? Any of the four things. And you, with love and devotion, if you offer, Krishna is captivated. Now, in the next few days, in less than 10 days' time now, Kartik month is coming, right? The whole month we are celebrating. What is this celebration all about? We are celebrating the victory of a devotee, right? Yashodamai. She has bound the unbound. And how did she bound? She was not able to bind him with the material things. But she was able to bind him with her love, right? And this is what we are celebrating. There, Krishna sees that there is the endeavor of the devotee, and then he bestows his mercy, right? So, it is our choice whether we want to choose the personal path or the impersonal path. But again, we have to be very careful, even on the personal path of bhakti. Whom are we taking shelter of? Whom are we taking guidance of? And how to protect ourselves from not listening from others. We should be aware. like a soldier, we need to know the strategic points, how the enemy can come and attack. So Maya has different strategic ways to attack us. So we should be aware, right? So these are some of my thoughts and understanding that I learned from this verse. Are there any questions or comments or? Yes, Prabhu.
Who are Māyāvādīs in India?
Can we name?
Who are Māyāvādīs in India?
Well, there's so many. Māyāvādī cult was started by Shankaracharya for sure. Yeah. But he's not a Māyāvādī. He's not Māyāvādī, but he was preaching Māyāvādism. So, there are many I would not know by name.
Many of us are
Yeah.
many of us even we are thinking we are in devotional path, but many of us even are
Yeah. Even like I was also how the Māyāvādism is impersonalism is even in the Western world. It may not be in the form of the sannyāsīs or in the form of religion, but it is still pervading in the form of science. You see, we believe in the atheistic science, where we don't want to accept the Creator itself, right? We don't want to accept Creator, but there is creation. We talk about laws, but we don't want to talk about the lawmaker, right? So, if you have gone to any kind of schools and colleges, we all have been under some kind of influence in this Māyāvādī philosophy. So, yeah. So, you want to add something, Prabhu, for that? Oh, it's okay. If there are, yes, Prabhu.
thanks to beautiful lecture, because you are totally not diverted to main topic. Since starting to end, you are totally concentrated on the main verse. My question related to your friend, you said. First of all, I am not favoring that your friend. The question is that when any person comes in devotion path or spiritual path, because we all are searching as Krishna is searching, and we are also searching bliss. So from material life we come to spiritual life for some anand or some bliss. So what is actually lacking in our system when a sadhaka is properly, sincerely following this system, and how come he is diverted towards another system? Maybe some higher taste, maybe the taste he or she is not getting in this system, and maybe that taste he or she not getting that system because he or she is sincere devotee. So how come they are diverted?
My friend, she always quotes this, what is that? Being liberal, this is the universal law. That means that we have to be liberal with everyone but strict with ourselves. So first of all, before we point out at the system, we should really point out at ourselves to ask, am I sincere enough? When someone makes a choice, it is not by chance. It is a conscious choice. First of all, we need to understand. And a conscious choice also involves our intelligence. Now, intelligence can be very sharp or dull. We have intelligence, it could be dull or sharp, right? But there are always our mentors, there are spiritual guides, there are classes happening morning and evening. There's so many Vaishnavas we are surrounded by. Why didn't we ever ask this question to them? We are trying to find fault with the system itself, but there's so much facility for us to, is it really right for me to go and listen? We can have a conversation, right? We can have a conversation and see that, okay, I'm feeling very nice there, Why am I feeling like this? Why I'm not feeling here? I will read one verse from second canto. This is from chapter 7, 53, I believe. This is a very beautiful verse that Prabhupada explains. Just a second. Oh. 2:7:53. Yeah. Yeah. Here it says, the Lord's activity in association with his different energies should be described, appreciated, and heard in accordance with the teachings of Supreme Lord. If this is done regularly with devotion and respect, one is sure to get out of the illusionary energy of the Lord. And in this purport, Prabhupada emphasizes that first of all, we need to learn to appreciate the creative aspect of the Lord before even we jump into the Rasa Lila or intimate pastimes of the Lord. And Prabhupada says that this is why there is a systematic study of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from the first canto to the 9th canto, and then we go to the 10th canto. Now, someone may talk, as I said, when parrot speaks, it speaks very sweetly, and we can get attracted because we have dull intelligence. But we have so many mentors and guides that we should be taking shelter of them and asking them that, okay, I'm really attracted to them. Is it really good? Right? But again, for the devotees who left, we should not be, criticizing them. This could happen with us also. Right? So there is a lesson for us that we should be really alert. We should be reading Srila Prabhupada's books. We should be chanting our rounds. Right? If we don't do it, maybe we will fall down more badly than them. This is something, an alert message, rather than to criticize why they find a fault, but we should be alert. That is something I will take. So maybe we have to close because Prabhu has the next sana. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Okay, sorry.